Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. All right. I want to continue in this series around building your audience. So if you're listening to me, and you've been listening to me for a long time, you know that I believe that God plants a calling into your heart, and he gives you that calling, the experiences that you've had, the things that you've gone through, the things that you've overcome, not so that you can just have that experience, but so that you can pour it out for others, right? So that you can have, there's a scripture that says to restore what the locusts have stolen. And that idea of like, yes, you've gone through things, you've overcome things, you've gotten stronger through things. And a lot of you have been in this conversation around, I wonder if I could coach, or maybe you already are a coach and you're like, how do I really deeply find the perfect clients for me? Or maybe you're just toying with the idea of a ministry around how do I help other people go faster through the result that I got, or to avoid some of the pitfalls, or just in general be able to serve other people in a level of excellence. And I think God calls us to this level of excellence. In other words, a stewardship of all the experiences, good and not so good. And I was thinking about the other day how, when my daughter was 4, she had 106 fever spikes. She had a febrile seizure that ended up being a complex seizure. We were in the hospital for 5 days. Absolutely one of the most horrible weeks of my life. So scary when you think, oh my gosh, my perfectly healthy child out of nowhere is having this major issue and she might not pull through. And I can tell you that experience was the worst of my life, and it was the biggest faith builder of my life, because I had to trust what I did not see wholeheartedly, because the other option of that was to chase the fear that was so prevalently knocking at my door with all the what ifs and all the conversation about, what could happen. And so isn't that like our life? Now, if you've been in our world and our Sync NeuroCoach model, and you maybe are planning on getting certified, or you're in the certification, and that the brain, the way God wired our brain, there's a very specific way that you build a neural pathway toward what you want to create. And here's the thing. I will quote Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. And in terms of the brain, there is faith or fear. There is no neutral ground. In other words, you have to continue to choose the place you want to be, choose the outcome you want, because that creates a pathway in the brain. But as we let fear in, as we let these things in, and I'll be honest with you, that was a battle, like literally a tug of war. On one side was my faith. On the other side was all the what ifs and the fears. And I would love to say that I only said, Lord, I believe, and I did, but I had to practice that and ask him to forgive me for my unbelief when I would let a thought in. Why am I telling you this story? Because as a coach, is vital if we're going to really deeply serve, reach people, get to actually make an impact in this world, that we meet people, and we meet people as people, not as gurus, not as experts. Now, you need that level of expertise, and we'll probably talk about that on the next podcast. Last week, if you listen to the podcast last week, I interviewed one of my very best friends in the world, Christina John Dolly, and we talked about this idea of how do I grow my audience? How do I grow the group of people that I get to impact? If you did not listen to that episode, make sure you go back and make sure you listen to that, because it was just she is my go-to person in terms of building deeper connection and audience. And we're going to be doing some really great things with each other over this month. We're going to have, she's doing a video series that I definitely want you to go and be a part of. Super powerful. I'll be in there. We'll have a little group discussion around it, and we'll be growing our audiences together during her event. And then we're going to do one day, I believe, I won't do dates because this will live on past this, but we'll do one day where you as my community will be able to come in. It'll just be Christina and I, and you'll be able to ask all your questions. But why am I bringing this up? I mean, if you're talking just to yourself, you're really not making an impact. And so whether you're thinking about ministry, whether you are thinking about starting to coach, whether you are a coach and you're thinking about scaling, you're trying to get more clients, more people that you can impact and serve, because let's just be real, we were not put on this planet to bury the treasures that were given to us. Now, I talk back about that time with my daughter, Jordan, because that became a treasure. You know, it's like a diamond gets produced by pressure, right? That was one of those moments where it's kind of like the disciples said, like, Lord, where else would I go in this moment? Like, where else? And if, you know, I do share my faith because I can't imagine having gone through that process without Jesus walking right beside me in it. But after I did move through it, and after, of course, I used the model that was created through the neuropsychology and also through scripture. And I'm going to be diving deeper. I've been having a lot of requests of like dive deeper into the scriptures of success. So we're going to be doing that. I actually did a couple podcasts ago too. But here's where I really want to take you this week is no matter where you are in that arc, in that journey, whether you're just getting started volunteering, you're starting to create a coaching business, you're thinking about it, you're going to get certified, you're applying for the neurocoach certification, or you've been going at it for a while, you're already certified through us, and you're really wanting to grow the impact. And that's the word I want to land on in this podcast, how to grow your engagement with your people so that you make more impact. Because deaf ears don't hear. And so if you're just shouting at the rooftops to all the people that possibly you won't help, that isn't really serving them. But if you can speak to the people who you're really called to impact, that's vital. And so I want to talk about the 3 key things that are different today than they even were 5 years ago, and why this positions you as a coach to really, I'm calling this the separation season. So this is the separation season. So those who continue to do it the old way, the broken way, I call it the drive-by way, where we're like, I'm going to drive by and help people and then not connect with them. That's the old way of like, just set it and forget it, sit on the beach and sip pina coladas, passive income. Yes, there are ways to do passive income, but not as a coach coaching people, because these are real lives going, real people, real lives, real experiences, real goals that they're trying to accomplish, real things they're trying to overcome. And a yes from a client as a coach is an intimate yes. Do you agree? It's not like buying a pair of glasses or a pencil where it's a functional thing. This is I've tried to do it on my own. I've bought everything and I've tried it on my own. It hasn't worked. I need to go fast toward what I want or to remove the thing I don't want. And I need your support. It's an intimate yes. And so I really want to talk through the intimacy that is required. So there's intimacy. I kind of wrote these down because I didn't want to forget them. Intimacy, connection, and deep guidance. So intimacy in the internet is a very interesting thing. Would you agree? Feels very impersonal, feels very superficial, feels like high school all over again. And that is why I brought Christine on last week, because she has a way, a method, and we're going to work through this together, where you create a group that creates intimacy. In other words, you'll still be talking to the bigger group, but as we bring in this next level of group, you get to get more intimate. You get to share stories of what you've overcome. You get to become a real person. And when you become a real person to someone who has a real goal or real thing that they're wanting to overcome, you become the go-to person that they want to enroll with. So intimacy is vital. And it's very difficult to get intimacy just being online. So it really does require having a safe space, having a place where you can call forward the people who are just like you, going through things just like you've gone and wanting the results just like you've been able to accomplish, achieve, create, remove things that you've removed. And it creates this place where we can be real. In other words, we can take the mask off and we can become who we really are versus the place where we have to protect. So intimacy is key. And then the second component of really engaging and engage, when I say engaging, I mean like attracting, keeping, and connecting, is this idea of being connected. It's this idea of we are in it together. There's this falsity in the internet that I should be perfect so that people want to follow me. I just had a coaching call yesterday that I had somebody that was waiting until they got to a certain place before they started coaching. And the real answer to what we're trying to do here is that we really aren't looking for the person that's 20 steps ahead, because that's intimidating. We're really looking for the person that's 2 to 3 places ahead, 4 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead, that they can say, hey, I've been there, I've walked through it, here's the path. You light up there, Jesus says, my word is a lamp unto your feet. In other words, here's where you are right now, and a light unto your path, meaning here's the way to walk in. And that's what you get to do as a coach, or as somebody who is growing your coaching business, scaling your coaching business. You get to be the lamp and the light. Because of what God's done in and through you, you get to sow that seed back to someone else. And it collapses time for people. But you see, you have to have connection. Intimacy is sharing your real person. Connection is, I see you, I hear you, I care about your experience. I don't just care about you enrolling in my coaching program. I actually care that you get the results. I actually am connected to what you're doing in the world, and I'm thinking about you. Why is this important? Because I feel like the pandemic showed us, it was a separator. It separated the chaff from the wheat. It showed who was really in it for people and who was really in it for just what it could give them. And as a coach, I know you're not coaching for that. I know, of course, you want to grow a wildly financially successful coaching business. And I, get favor and blessing from that, because then you could be a blessing to others. I share this a lot. So if there's money issues around growing your business, you've got to be in our community, because that has to get broken. That is not in scripture. It says the love of money, not money itself. In fact, I'm not going to go there, because right now I could take a whole hard left turn and end up on a totally different podcast. The third key piece of this attraction marketing in this current economy, in this new economy, where you're literally creating your own economy, where you are in the separation season, and you have an opportunity, unlike any other time that I've been online, where you can get to the front of the line and become that go-to person in your specific coaching niche by these 3 things: intimacy, connection, and deep guidance. In other words, don't just copy someone else's guidance because you think what you've gone through is discounted, isn't important. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were, had an incredible result, and then they had a different result, and they weren't sharing the different result because it wasn't as big as this one. Let me tell you, deep guidance says, I know what you're going through. I know what you're about to go through. I know how it feels. Here's what I've done. Here's the model or the method that got created out of it, because steps that you went through becomes a model or a method. We'll talk about that in a different podcast. And so now you've got somebody in this intimate space. You're engaging with them. You're being intimate. You're connected to them, and you're giving them deep, real guidance. This is a recipe, in a sense, of creating engagement, creating trust, which are the precursor to somebody saying yes to your coaching program. So this is why I want to talk about this. This is not, to me, I want you to really hear this. And I'm going to probably alienate some of my listeners right now. I'm probably going to make a few of you mad, and I'm okay with that. I love you, but I'm okay with that. Growing a business, becoming a coach, growing a coaching business, growing a business as an entrepreneur is, yes, it's a venture towards your financial freedom. Yes, it's something that allows you to create impact in the world, solve people's problems. All of that is true. But it's also the best spiritual journey you can walk on to get close to God. And I believe we are trying to get power to do the things that we're doing in a broken outside model system that does not work. And that's why you feel tired, like you're burning, like you're like spinning your wheels and all that. But when you tap into like, this is my God-given calling, and therefore it's planted in my heart, it's a desire in my heart, and I want to change people's lives. And if that's you, I want you to tell me that's me in socials or just tag me. And you get to get close to the creator that gave you that ability to create. And as you tap into the power that God himself gives you because he planted that desire in your heart, then you can be intimate. Then you can be connected. Then you can be supernaturally giving deep guidance that transforms people's lives beyond your model, beyond the logical, right? It's like it gets a super in charge for people, a knowing for people, an intuition for people that is not teachable. And I think that's why God gives these assignments to people to go out and change the world and make a lot of money and change a lot of people's lives. I can tell you right now, if my businesses weren't doing as well as they were doing, the kids in Uganda wouldn't be doing as well as they're doing. The more money that I make, the more impact I can have and the more people I can help. We'll have to tackle that on a whole different podcast because money and spirituality is this weird mix, and a lot of people have it really confused, and really it creates this charge. And I want to see you get set free from that. But I want to wrap this. We're talking about engagement, growing your business, but I want to wrap it in this. Like, do you know there is a strength and a power available to you that you might not have been accessing? And you can actually stop. It's not that you're not going to work hard. It's not that you're not going to be using your mind and thinking hard and creating things. Of course not. You were created by a creator. He gave you the ability to create, and he is pleased when you are creating in your full capacity, not creating in a dumbed down, smaller version of your capacity because you're believing fear, right? And we talked about that in the beginning. So in the strength, as you rely on God, God gives you supernaturally better ideas, more ideas, and empowers your ability to impact lives. So as we're going into this event of Christina's, I want you to really be thinking about how it is an act of service to fully step into the full potential you have to help other people's lives. As a coach, if you're thinking about getting started as a coach, of course, I am going to encourage you to get certified through our certification, because it's the only brain-based certification that gives you 100% transformation for your clients, which creates raving fans, which creates sold out coaching programs. And if you've been going for a little bit of time, if you're not certified yet, get certified. We'll put the certification link down below, but that's not what this is about. This is about deeply engaging with your people so they feel intimate, connected, and getting deep advice in a space. Now, there's more of a how-to around that. And that's what I want to invite you to. Christina is going to be doing her live, I think it's a video series taking you through. And then we're going to have a time where you can be on a webinar with Christina and I and just go deeper. So that link is below. Why? Because I want you to have the how-to build your tribe. Because when you build your tribe, then you step into the full measure of your calling, rely on God to supernaturally and naturally transform and change people's lives. And then the key is to continue to grow that group, engage that group, so that more and more of them get their transformation that transforms their life. And then as they transform their lives, they tell others about it. All right. So these are the 3 keys to growing your following, engaging your group. And I cannot wait to see you hanging out with Christina and I in this cool event that she is doing, that we're collaborating on, because I want you to have your audience there where you can serve them. I want you to become, like I said, separation season. I want you at the front of the pack, being known for your niche, being the go-to person. Why? Not because you're the old version, but because you are the one that really transforms their lives. And I always say that Christina and I are a 1-2 punch that gets certified, grow your audience and truly transform people's lives. All right, that's what I have for you this week on the Epic Success Podcast. I will see you in our group as we're going through Christina's event. And if you're listening to this after that is over, of course, we'll have the links go to something really cool for you. All right, that's what I have for you this week on the Epic Success Podcast. Bye for now.